Welcome back. Another week. Cornhusker Connection. I'm Brandon Shanahan with Tyler Sprinkle and Brooke Byrne as always. We got football going on this week. We're getting started. I'm hyped. But lots of good stuff going on right here on Cornhusker Connection Network. So a lot of good content coming out this week. I'm going through conference by conference, breaking down each team schedule, predicting every game for every seat, for every team, for every conference. So that starts. I will come out today. All 5 Power 5 conferences, and then a special 6th championship edition where I talk about postseason. Which I think is the best way to do it, because I think a lot of people who do like full season predictions will look at a team like, well, they look like a 10-win team, or they look like a 6-win team, and then make the numbers work from there. But there's so much context that goes into what happens in a college football season. So lots of good stuff there. New show coming on the network here in a couple of weeks. Bookie, Brooke, and the boys. Degenerate gambler Brooke Byrne will take us through that journey. Win us some money, lose us some money. I've also found my way on Craps TikTok, which is giving me the itch. Get back to a casino, so I'm juiced about that. But lots of good stuff going on. Next week, the season starts here for Nebraska. We're revamping our content. We're essentially going to have like a post-game and a pre-game show, at least 2 shows a week, depending on how much content we can put into those. Obviously, the pre-game show will start with all things Huskers, breaking down that entire matchup. Essentially, the goal is to have that be your replacement if, say, hypothetically, you don't want to watch Lee Corso at 97 years old play dress-up. We got you covered there. Then Monday, you can expect a nice post-game reaction from us, eating our feelings, talking about that, talking about all the bets that we lost thanks to Bookie Brook. So lots of good stuff going on. So 2 episodes a week there, an episode of Bookie Brook and the boys. Plenty of content throughout the week on our YouTube channel. So you got plenty of us if you want us.
We're also going to have Brooke teach me how to bet. So any new bettors out there, this will be your spot.
He's a good teacher. I can attest to that.
Absolutely.
And so college football, I'm just saying, it would be really fun in my hands. I don't know if it's as good for everybody involved, but it's going to be fun for us. That's for sure.
As I said last week, you still have my vote.
Tyler Sprinkle endorsements. And frankly, from what Trev Albert said recently, an idea like this isn't crazy far off. He did an interview with the Lincoln Journal Star where he said some crazy things. He said, in my own opinion, I think the future has to contemplate football being taken out of the mix. Albert said, we're moving to 35 to 40 top brands being a part of something. If you look at football in isolation, eventually conferences will matter less in a sense. If we can find a way to take football and have that be this entity here, I think you can get back to doing some more intelligent thinking around sports, which should be regionally based. And kind of talked about just the fact that we're not done with conference realignment, and that he thinks the next wave is going to be even more destructive than it is now, which I think is very well possible, and terrifying for sure. But he also sounded like a World War I general with all of his quotes, which I think is very fun. In a different life, you could be a war general leading men into battle, and now he's running a football organization in Middle America, which I think is very fitting.
For sure.
The comments that he put out there, right? I more so take them as football being its own thing, own conferences, own divisions, and every other sport has to figure out what they're doing. I don't think that there's going to be any crazy like NFL type league where all these good teams are in the league and all the bad teams aren't, because then you're really taking away from, and I'm not really a stay the same hardo like a lot of these other people are, like, oh, you're ruining college football by changing divisions, but I would be hard pressed to believe that they would really change up football that way.
It is interesting to think about what is going to happen, but it kind of felt like Trev's comments were so out there. He's a well-connected guy, so I don't want to say it'll never happen, but until it does, it's literally just a guessing game.
Yeah.
Hope there's still the purity of college football is still there, where there's a playoff. We're expanding. I'd like the idea of conferences. If we lose them, we lose them. But as long as there's college football on Saturday, I feel like you can't piss off too many people. So
Yeah, I think, and he's not wrong because there's still lots to pick apart from the ACC, or if they can't get their stuff together, what does that look like for these other conferences? But and it's definitely not gonna. They're not gonna all of a sudden be like, you know what, we were wrong. Super conferences aren't the move. We're gonna split up and we're gonna divvy out, everything regionally. It's only gonna get worse. It's a bummer. But until we have Commissioner Shanahan in office, the suits are going to be making these calls based on fiscal decisions. And I am curious about what he thinks is going to be so drastically different compared to what's already happened. Because, of course, teams are picking off teams from other conferences, trying to add as much value as possible. But I also think that opens up the door for conferences to reevaluate current members in the sense of, well, a 20-team conference without Rutgers and Maryland and Northwestern is all of a sudden going to be a lot easier to sell than like a 25-team conference with those brands. So now how do we evaluate who stays, who goes, and what does that look like? And who's safe, who's not? Vanderbilt's been in the SEC forever, but they're not really pulling their weight football and revenue wise. So maybe we swap out Vanderbilt for Florida State. That seems like a big win to us in the SEC. Huge shame for Vanderbilt, but I think that's the next evolution.
yeah, overall it was just a very cryptic thing to say, and he leaked it in a weird way. If there is something coming, but there's a lot of dominoes to fall still, and with the whole conference realignment thing, I would like to believe we're still away from that, but who knows?
I think so.
Money talks. Money talks. So whoever is offering the most money to get these things to change, and that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Regardless.
Money. Everything's about money. Money.
Oh yeah.
So next thing I wanted to talk about, again, we are a Nebraska podcast. I think we keep forgetting that as far as actually talking about Nebraska. But they finally unveiled their alternate uniforms. I think they're really clean, as is, with the blue outline. And again, I don't know if this is a permanent thing or a standard thing, but the glossy red face mask goes hard as hell for me. But what do you guys think?
I like them. I do think they're very clean. But if we were going to pay an ode to the blue jerseys that we wore 100 years ago, I wish we would have went a little more blue rather than the outline. It feels a little.
It does kind
weird.
of feel like a cop out, yeah.
I get it. We're a red school, but with alternate uniforms being crazy nowadays, I feel like this was a safe play, and I would have liked to see something a little more crazier. But it is still a clean look, so.
Yeah, I agree with Brooke. I wish they would have done something maybe a little more drastic, because they look pretty much the same unless you're really close to it. It does it looks a little similar to like the Kansas Jayhawks uniforms. Not that that's a bad thing because I love all the uniforms that they have. But I do think if they're going to do something, why not just do it? Why not make something kind of crazy? Screw it.
I just live off of the old saying, all publicity is good publicity, whether it's a super clean look or a super ugly look. It's just for one game. You're still going to get talked about either way. So,
because if you're looking at this picture that Brandon has pulled up right here, shout out the YouTube channel, it looks the exact same. I mean, you can't really tell a difference from what's going on.
Yeah.
I promise my 60-year-old father will not know that is a different jersey.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. Like the older fan base at Nebraska, when they run out, unless the TV broadcast zooms in on it, a lot of people are going to be asking what's different about it. So.
Yeah. There's going to be a big story on game day about it. They're going to be like, oh, look at this. Yeah, this is why they're doing it, which is cool. It's cool to kind of look back and see where you came from. I'm always a fan of that. Just wish they would have done something a little more. Which it does get difficult now that I'm thinking about it a little more because they're the big red, so you can't really have a blue jersey.
But
just
it's
something, I don't know.
It's one day, so it's like
yeah. And they've gone pretty drastic in the past too with the alternate uniform, so it wouldn't be out of nowhere for them to do something crazy.
Yeah.
I just and I get that it's like celebrating 100 years of Memorial Stadium. I just wonder if there's a better retro look to kind of go after, as opposed to the one game over the last 100 years where they wore a different color than red. It seems like a bold move to me. I would rather have it be too subtle and still be clean than have it be ugly. But I do think that there's a way to retrofit this uniform, maybe like replace the N with the old numbers like they used to have back in the day, and make some tweaks there that make it look older because you're celebrating history here. And I don't know if this uniform comes off as that.
Well, Nebraska has had a history at just swinging and missing on alternate uniforms. The black ones, I forget how long ago, those were probably the cleanest of the bunch. But a lot of the alternate uniforms are very like basic and not really out there. I would like, go crazy once in a while. It's only for a day. So it's not like they're gonna mix those in twice a year. It's one day.
Yeah, I did forget about these. These are really clean. Oh,
Yeah,
get out of here, Omaha World Herald! I'm not paying for your prices. Oh, jeez.
Oh, we're stuck now.
Oh gosh,
and there's a YouTube at the shut down the pod.
Yeah, if somebody could just drop their credit card info in the comments, that'd be great. And then we can see these pictures here.
Yeah,
we're too poor for our own newspaper.
Okay, let's go. Sorry, Omaha World Herald, for trying to give you some free publicity. But here we go. There we go. So yeah, I did forget how clean these were. I like these a lot. You see, this feels more like what they should have tried to set the tone for, because this looks old. The skull and crossbones, the simple black and white numbers, no trim around it, vintage Husker logo, like that's retro. That's what I think it's got to be.
You guys remember the all black ones? I think it's the one just to the right that you have pulled up at the bottom.
This guy with the red numbers?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those.
I think that
so ugly.
I'm not buying into this one as much.
So ugly.
I think it was cool for a day though, whether it's ugly or it's.
I do like the helmets. The jersey is. Woof.
Yeah. Whatever. You hate everything. Wow. Get out of here.
I also think something like this is kind of what I was more referring to, with just the classic look, and I like I said, I think those are clean. The ones with the blue trim, but I also hate. Oh boy, where'd my mouse go? This guy right here. This feels like a big miss. Boy, I forgot about all these different alternates. I think we probably suppress that in therapy here.
As you should, yeah.
Yuck. But overall, I thought it was a win. I thought they looked clean. And like I said, I don't know if that glossy face mask is a permanent fixture, if that's just for this uniform, but I think that looks very clean. So I'm excited for it. Do we know what game it's going to be for?
It's October 21st. I'm not sure who we play that day.
Be the first Husker game as a married man for Sprinkle here.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Let's see. Who do they play on
Be a new
October
era.
21st? They play Northwestern.
Yeah.
What a game.
Yeah, it's a good game for it.
Jeez.
So also last time since we talked, the wide receiver room is kind of falling apart. Xavier Betts announced that he's now no longer with the team. Told Coach Rule that his heart's no longer in it, which is a bummer. He showed real good flashes, took some time away from the team, came back, and I mean, I've only heard good things about him in the spring, and it's just it's a bummer that he won't be around for the game in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it sucks, but honestly, good for him, man. He knew he didn't shy away from it. He knew that he wasn't into it anymore. Instead of going out there and not putting his all into it, he's giving a shot to another person. I mean, people are like, "Oh, you could have told people this weeks ago to get somebody else ready," but good
And
for
I'm
him
absolutely
for knowing what he wants.
I'm never trying to bash people, especially 19, 20-year-old kids. If he's not happy, like absolutely go do something else. It just feels weird to me that he went through spring, summer, and half of fall camp, and then all of a sudden, when the finish line is in sight, he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to play anymore." It's unfortunate for the team and the wide receiver room, but the timing to me is just like something doesn't feel right there. So
Yeah, if I'm looking at this with the glass half full and trying to paint this in the best light PR wise, it would kind of indicate to me that he wanted to play this out as long as he possibly could and just see if it was something that could work, if it's something that he could work through, if it's a passion thing like Coach Rule may have alluded to. Can he find that spark again? Getting ready for actual fall practices. And then the 3 week mark kind of feels like the point where, well, if it's not going to come back now, then it's probably not going to come back here in the next few weeks. So at least gives them some time to kind of make preparations and so if I'm painting it in the most positive light, it's he wanted to ride this out as long as he could to see if that spark came back.
And if that's truly what it was, then good for him for sticking it out as long as possible. But with the coaching staff not wanting to talk about it as much as they did, who knows? I'm not going to speculate.
Yeah, maybe that's more so just like he told them some stuff like that was going on, and they don't feel as though they need to share that with anybody.
Right. No, and I think that the coaches handled it pretty well as far as like respecting his privacy and all that.
Yeah.
And frankly, we don't need to know anything else.
No.
Frankly, it feels like he gave out plenty of information as far as his it being Xavier's decision, not a team decision, and mentioning that his heart's not in it. I think that's plenty.
Yeah.
But it is a bummer. You also do kind of think selfishly, like, well, even if you're just going through the motions, you're still a really good football player.
Yeah, like looking at the roster now with our wide receiver room, like it's not great. It's really young, but there's a lot of kids from Nebraska in this locker room that now have a shot to potentially make some kind of impact on the field, which is exciting.
Yeah, so that's a kind of my next point is what does how does this impact the wide receiver room? Obviously, a big talent in Betts not being there. Is this wide receiver room salvageable?
I think at the top end we're old enough to where we'll get some things done with IGC, Xavier Castaneda or Garcia Castaneda, however you say his last name. Yeah. He's been around a while. Washington is obviously very experienced. Trying to go through my list. Kemp has played a ton of football. So at the very top, you have three guys that can really play. And then after that, where it's like some young guys are going to have to prove themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's still some potential. But I also, if there's going to be any part of this offense that is thin or not up to up to par. I kind of want it to be the wide receiver room. I think we can kind of get away with having a light wide receiver
You can
production.
work. Yeah, you can work with that.
But if you got a good run game, if you got a good offensive line, if you got a smart quarterback who can make plays, if you got good tight ends, which it looks like they have, I think we'll be able to kind of makeshift enough production out of that wide receiver room. I don't think it's, a 4-alarm fire there. It's not great, especially looking back on last year and all that Trey Palmer was able to do, but it's manageable, I think.
It is manageable, but when you start thinking about, injuries and how that goes along throughout the year, Washington's been bruised up a number of times through fall camp. Um, I would just say we need this room to stay as healthy as possible, because otherwise you're looking at, I think the plan was for Malachi Coleman to play this year in some capacity. But if we get some injuries to those top 3 or 4 guys, we're going to be looking at starting some true freshmen and a couple of guys that have yet to see the field at wide receiver. So that could get dicey. But if we stay healthy, then I don't think it's a problem.
To me, that's exciting because, I mean, you hear about it all the time, like, oh, these freshman superstars are on the field and they're making an impact. Why can't Nebraska have the same thing?
Yeah.
I mean, we get the guys in the building. They should be able to do something. And I'm obviously not in the locker room with them. I'm not on the practice field seeing everything that's going on. So I guess I can't say 100% sure. But I do think that, like I mentioned, a lot of these guys are from Nebraska. And I think that means a lot to these guys to be playing for the school they grew up rooting for the most part, I guess.
At least you hope so.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if that translates into talent, which a lot of the times it doesn't. A lot of the times, they're freshmen, they don't know anything. But I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful for a lot of these guys.
There's going to be a lot of young guys who get some on-the-job experience this year, which will be good going forward for them.
Yeah, and just the overall expectations of this season, it feels like this is a good year for it, where you're really getting a whole new system out there. If you have growing pains this year, I don't think anybody's going to pull the fire alarm and get after coach. Well, some people will, I'm sure, if it goes real bad. But yeah, this feels like a really good opportunity to feel it out this year. If you can find something that works and you pick up some wins, fantastic. If not, either we know what not to do or what we need to work on, or this feels like a good opportunity to get some of these newer guys out there, younger guys out there, and kind of see what works.
We certainly will see.
It's exciting.
So week 0 coming up here. So I wanted to get out a first batch of rankings. I don't think that we should do top 25. That feels excessive.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's like does the 2013 really matter? Even in the expanded playoff, do they matter? So we all put together a top 10. I just put the AP poll in Tyler's place this week.
No, I have one. I just forgot to send it to you.
Okay, well, let's go through it then. What is it, big guy?
All right. So I got Georgia number 1, clearly. Michigan number 2. I think that it's fine. I don't really have to expand on that. Then I have USC at number 3. I mean, you have the returning Heisman coming back. That team is already really good. I think that they have a lot to bring to the table this year, especially after a disappointing end to their season. Then I have Clemson coming in at number 4. Then I have Penn State. Then I have Texas. Texas is a big one because I think that they can. Yeah, I know it's not going to be a popular opinion, but I think that they can come out here and just show people that Texas is finally back.
Grow up.
Then, then I have Tennessee. Then I have Florida State. And then I have Alabama.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. That's a good move. I didn't have the balls for that, that's for sure.
Dude, Alabama stinks. I'm sick of them. Get them out of my face.
Hey, sorry, I was too busy typing. Did you say Tennessee in the top 10?
I did say Tennessee. I did. Dude, right. Joe looks like an incredible athlete back there. I'm excited to see him throw the ball 100 yards this year.
I mean, Anthony Richardson also has a cannon for an arm, and they won 6 games. So,
But Tennessee is a way better team than Florida was last year.
yeah, but I mean,
what are they ranked right now in like the regular?
To play devil's advocate to Tyler's defense, if you watch that bowl game with Joe Milton, it looked good, but that's one game.
Bazooka Joe.
Yeah, they're good. Top 10 is generous.
I mean, they're ranked number 12 right now, so it's not that big of a stretch.
You're not wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
Talk your shit, Tyler.
Yeah, all right.
Well, I'll die for my boys.
I'll say that's not my least favorite of your top 10.
What's the least favorite?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, we're not done yet, so I might have a new top. It depends on what number 10 is.
I really like. Fuck, I'm just going to say it. Oregon State. I like DJ. I think he's going to go in there and show people that he can lead a team that might not be the best all-around team, but I think he's going to be able to lead them to wins that they haven't had in I don't even know how long.
I'll tell you what, Tyler. I won't give you any flack for the Oregon State game if you can pronounce DJ's last name.
Oh shit. Ongilalele?
All right, we're close enough. I can't get any closer.
Wow, what is it?
I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, okay.
I was
He just wanted to make you look dumb, and you took the bait.
I was doing my Pac-12 preview last night, and I was talking about Oregon State. I certainly don't have it as a top 10 team, but I was like, well, they upgraded the quarterback in the transfer portal, then immediately moved on before I had to say his name. So, yeah.
Well, how about this? How about we switch Oregon State and Georgia? Oregon State number 1.
Well, I mean, this top 10 has a chance to be taken serious. Let's not get crazy here.
All right, let's hear you two buffoons.
Let's get after it here. So here's how we have it broken down. AP, mine, Brooks, Tyler's. We all had the same top 2. Shocker, Georgia and Michigan. I think are clearly 1 and 2. Ohio State, LSU, USC at the 3 spot. Alabama, LSU. A couple of differing opinions on ACC teams. LSU at 5 from the AP poll. A couple of Bamas, Penn State. Here, from basically 1 to 9 is pretty similar. Just throwing a couple of spots and Tennessee and Texas in there. I also had, I think my boldest take is Kansas State at 10. I don't know if they are a top 10 team. It just feels ridiculous that the new Big 12 doesn't have a team ranked higher than 14th. Yeah, actually, you know what? I can't. I already made the graphic, so I can't make a change. In hindsight, I wish I would have put Utah there instead of Kansas State.
I like that. I do like Utah there.
Yeah, I like. Let's see who else had out. So do we all have? Oh, you didn't even have LSU in your top 10. I think that's a big.
I don't believe in them. Unfortunately, I hope they prove me wrong because I like them as a team. Like I think they're fun to watch. I just don't believe in that roster.
Yeah,
well, you would be wrong. So.
Yeah, I think that's the best team in that division.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see. What do you like so much about Texas?
Last year, Quinn Ewers looked like a very, very good quarterback without him getting hurt as often as he did I guess in that game in Alabama versus Alabama, right? Like obviously that was at Texas. Damn, did they put on a show? They look like they can compete with the top teams in the country, and I'm excited to see how they build off of last year's semi-success.
I would like to interject here by giving my bold take on Texas and saying that Quinn Ewers is not even the best quarterback they have on that roster. So
who is?
After watching that guy last year, he is not it. He's not it.
Who's the best quarterback on the roster then?
Malik Murphy.
Dude's built like a tank. I'd love to watch him play football. I'll tell you what.
I think Archie's way better than both of them. So
Yeah, we'll see about that. I just haven't seen anything from Texas in the last 10 years to indicate that they're ready to take that step up. I'll gladly be proven wrong if they are officially back. Um, I think that'd be fun, especially going to the SEC. Fuck the SEC. I think it would be kind of funny if Texas came in and took over that conference. I don't think it's going to happen in any universe. Don't get me wrong, but it'd be very funny to me. Especially as a conference who shat on the Big 12 as much as they have. I think that'd be fun.
Well, Texas is going to get a chance right away. What is it, week 2? They got Bama.
Yeah.
This is kind of an off year for a Bama offense where, no Bryce Young. They're making a change at quarterback. If there were ever a year for Texas to prove that they are back, it would be winning that game.
For sure. In Tuscaloosa, that's crazy. I don't have any objectivity and real analysis to put behind this take, but I'm getting a vibe similar to when USC played Alabama week 1 a few years ago and got blown out by 47 points. I don't know why, but it just kind of feels like that same kind of energy. Obviously Texas is better than that USC team, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting.
Well, in the words of Brooke, you'd be wrong.
Speaking of teams like Texas, and maybe I'm being hypocritical here because I have in my top 10. I think Florida State's the Texas of the ACC, just in the sense that we all want them to be back so bad. We want them to be so good.
I absolutely do not want to. Please don't.
Okay. Yeah. Personally, I just remember seeing so many great Florida State games growing up, seeing the stupid racist chop. It's problematic, but it's fun to watch. Seeing the unique color scheme, seeing Jameis Winston try to sneak his way back on after being suspended during the same football game, which is funny to me. I have fond memories of Florida State and them being good in college football, and I want them to be back, especially in the ACC. I think the ACC is bad, and so the more good teams that they have, the better college football is. And I think they had a good year last year, but I got to see more. I got to see more.
I will stop both of you right there because that's who's going to win the Natty this year. It's Florida State.
Sure.
I'll eat my underwear if they.
Get ready. Get a pair of skivvies ready for that because Jordan Travis, him.
I'll do you one better. I'll eat a pair of underwear if they win the ACC. All they gotta do is be better than Clemson.
Brandon.
And I'm eating boxers.
Brandon.
I'll let you throw a saddle on my back. I'll throw on a thong, and you can ride me around the neighborhood if they win the national championship.
Okay. They are for sure winning the ACC. So that was wild for Brandon to say that.
In hindsight, I wish I would have waited until I at least looked at the ACC to make that bold proclamation, but I stand by it.
Nah, dude, Brandon, just make it like a cake. Like I said, boxers are cake. Nobody knows.
Well, no, I got it. There's going to be some elite culinary work being done in this scenario, where it will be built in. I don't know. I just came up with this idea 45 seconds ago. I don't know the logistics of it. Frankly, I don't think I'll have to worry about it. So that's the real bright side here.
Yeah, Clemson's in the same conference. Like they're not going to win anything. It's fine. You're good.
So
you guys are.
They might not even win an ACC division game.
They might not even be the best team in the state of Florida.
If you guys are casuals, just say that.
I guess I'm a casual.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see here. Anything else on here that we want to talk about? USC, I think, is the best team in the Pac-12. Just a quick preview. I also don't think they make the Pac-12 championship game.
Wow,
their schedule's insane.
That's the thing about the Pac-12. The thing that Tyler may have gotten right was when I was looking through the Pac-12 and how the schedule shakes out, if there was a team that could sneak into the playoff, it would be Oregon State just because they play 3 ranked teams. They get 2 of them at home, but the one on the road is Oregon, and it's a rivalry game. So anything can happen in a rivalry game. So we could be sitting here at the end of the year there is an instance in which Oregon State might be 12-0 headed into the Pac-12 championship game. So I don't think that happens, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, and typically when you see teams that just kind of pop off for 10 wins like Oregon State did, you see some familiar statistics. Like you see, them having a bunch of close wins that go their favor, or they get a bunch of turnovers and a plus 22 turnover margin. It's just tough to replicate year to year. Or you have such an experienced team that like TCU last year, the pieces just come together. Oregon State didn't really have a whole lot of that. So it seems like it's not a fluke of a season, and certainly seems like it could be sustainable. I wouldn't be shocked at all. But whoever put together USC's schedule, that's malpractice. So they play week 0, and then they get a bye in week 3, and then they don't get another bye until week 13, right before the conference championship game. So they play nine FBS teams in a row, including going to Notre Dame, then playing Utah the next week, and then wrapping up the season 2 out of 4 weeks playing Oregon and Utah, or Oregon and Washington. It's just a murderer's row, and it's so tough to imagine them coming out with less than 2 wins and some head-to-head tiebreakers.
And that's when you're picking teams to go to the playoff. Obviously, they'll always have a fighting shot with Caleb Williams, but sometimes with your schedule, the route is a key thing. It's got to set up well for you.
Yeah, and Joel Klatt put it the best. The Pac-12's built so well for parity, but not built for the college football playoff. There's so many good teams here, and there's just not a even if there is a great team, like I think USC can be, like I think even Washington can be. I think, none of us had Washington in the top 10. I think that could be a miss. But there's just no separation.
I think Washington's a good team. I don't know if they're a great team. So 10 feels a little high for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I talk about Washington, it's definitely in the brightest timeline. It's definitely, I want them to hit their stride. And I think if they hit their stride, they're as good as anybody in the Pac-12. But I think it'll
be a question of whether Washington's defense can keep up with their offense. But
yeah, absolutely. The offense is going to be humming.
Yes.
But so what I did, but before we got Tyler's contributions, I just kind of took all of them, got our averages in, and frankly, for the most part, I don't think it'll differ too much. I think Texas would come in at 10, tied with the other teams at 10 as well. So Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, top 5. That seems respectable to me. I don't think that's outlandish. USC, Florida State, Penn State, Clemson, and then all the other teams that we had in our various top 10 configurations.
I want to be known that I wanted to put Kansas in a top 10.
I swear to God, I thought that's what you were going to say when you were like, I'm just going to put him there. I'm just going to put him there. Like, if you fucking put Kansas there, that's insane.
I love Kansas.
Bro. I love Kansas too. They're going to be so fun.
The only bone I have to pick with this was it really turned me off that Ryan Day, when talking about the quarterback situation, he talked about a scenario in which they're playing with 2 quarterbacks into the start of the season where they might rotate some guys. And he goes, I don't know the exact quote, but it was along the lines of, we're not looking for either one of these guys to be great. We're just looking for them to hit the throws that they have to, or the easy ones. And I was like, that seems like a wild thing to say for a team that's ranked. What are they in the AP poll? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think that they're up there. They're 3.
Like, that's insane to me. When was the last time a team with 2 quarterbacks outside of Michigan, but Michigan runs the ball 30 times a game? When was the last time a throwing team went into the season with 2 quarterbacks like this? I just don't think that is going to work out for them.
I mean, totally different circumstance, but that last Ohio State national championship team had 3 quarterbacks who played.
Yeah, well, that was injuries, and they still
totally
had
different
Zeke Elliott running that freaking thing
Yeah,
like
no
his pants were on fire.
No kid. Yeah, totally different thing. But it does kind of go to show if any team could pull it off, I think it's probably Ohio State.
I mean, they got maybe the best wide receiver recruit ever in Marvin Harrison catching the rock. So
Just
you
get the
can
ball
get
to him. Yeah, just
Right.
get the ball to him. Let my Marvin Harrison preseason Heisman ticket cash, and then I'm good.
It'll just be interesting to see when I think Notre Dame is probably their first real test, and it's in North Bend. So
is that when is that? Is that week 1 or week 2?
No, I think it's 3 or 4, I want to say. It's early, but if they're still
That'd be
messing
a
around
big game.
Notre Dame has, I think, a good defense. They bring back a lot of guys, and especially in the secondary. If you have an unproven quarterback, that feels like a game that could get away from them.
Yeah, so week 4. So they play Indiana, Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, and then they go to Notre Dame. I mean, if you're looking at any loss on that schedule outside of Michigan, that's it.
I'm not a believer in Ohio State this year. After hearing those comments, how could you be?
Yeah, I mean that's tough. And if you're gonna go with the Big Ten East team that's going with the new quarterback, I think I like Penn State more.
Yeah, Sean Clifford was never a great quarterback. He was always good enough, and they found a way to win 10 games with him. If this kid can really play, that might push them over the top.
Absolutely. They do go to Columbus, which is a tough ask.
Yeah. I don't know if they get there this year,
but even if it's like a 3-way tie with Ohio State and Michigan goes undefeated, but Penn State can beat them at home, and then Ohio State has a non-conference loss against Notre Dame. I don't know exactly how the tiebreakers work out or how much non-conference is built into it, but that's a path for Penn State.
I don't know if what the line looks like on Michigan, Ohio State right now, but if it's anything under Michigan by a touchdown, I would love to put a smooth $1 million on that because
I mean, that's just printing money.
Jeez, I don't see how Ohio State keeps it close this year. Unless one of those quarterbacks come out and they're like, okay, this guy can sling it.
Because Blake Corum didn't play last year, did he?
No.
Was he hurt before that game? That's
they did all of that without Blake Corum, and now you have Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards and a more confident J.J. McCarthy and probably just as strong or a stronger defense. I don't know.
This could be the year they get past TCU. I don't know. Could be the year. I saw that Jim Harbaugh put up a sign in their locker room that says, "This is how we beat Georgia." Well, how about TCU? How are you going to beat them? I mean, TCU won't be there for sure, but also they did lose to Texas Christian University.
Yeah.
So, well, perfect. I think we kind of nailed it. I think that's a very respectable top 10. Obviously, it'll look different as we ebbs and flows. If I had known all that uncertainty at quarterback for Ohio State, I probably wouldn't have put them as high as I did. But nonetheless, we'll see how the cookie shapes out. That's all I had today, boys. Lots of good stuff going out this week. Power 5 previews going out every game for every team week by week. And you'll see just exactly how I don't see USC making the Pac-12 championship, which is insane to think about. But lots of good stuff. Anything else you'd like to add, fellas?
I think we hit it all.
Let's go.